You are the oldest president ever.
Pretty good shape, huh?
Which leads to my next question. You are more aware of this than anyone. Some people ask whether you are fit for the job. And when you hear that, I wonder what you think.
Watch me.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America! Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. So you might have remembered that clip from last September with Joe Biden responding to questions about his age and his fitness for being president. Watch him, he said. Well, Mr. President, we've been watching, and what we've seen, not so good. This became a topic in last week's Republican debate as well, and it's clearly hitting a nerve with the Biden camp, because the Biden campaign sent out surrogates to respond to claims that Joe Biden is too old to be president. But before we get to this compilation of responses just spinning the room dizzy, please be sure to like, comment, share the show with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and if you want, you can check out the merch right below this video. We got a lot of great t-shirts out there, or you can also go to shop.buffoonoftheweek.com. So like I was saying, this is a compilation video of the Biden campaign response to claims made during the debate about Joe Biden's age and how he's too old and not fit to be president. Let's go through all the responses. We got responses from J.B. Pritzker, who was Illinois governor. We have responses from Bernie Sanders and from the Biden campaign, one of the co-chairs, Cedric Richmond. Take a look.
And the president's age is an issue. It's not us. It's the voters who are raising questions about it. He has said, watch me, and touts his first-term agenda. But Americans seem to be looking for a bit more reassurance. Is that possible? How should the president handle that?
Well, again, it's him actually accomplishing things that should be proof to people that he's the right man for the job going forward. Nobody talks about the fact that Donald Trump is similar age to Joe Biden.
Now let's think about the first two parts of this answer for a second, because this is something I talk about in my book, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, a field guide for identifying political buffoons, that's available right now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores. This is classic agenda gymnastics. So what do I mean by that? Well, agenda gymnastics means that a partisan, usually a hyper-partisan, has a goal in mind and will do whatever it takes to reach that goal, do whatever rhetorical contortions they have to do in order to get to that goal. The best example I can give is the Houston Astros when they won the World Series with the whole slamming of the garbage pail. Remember all that? And how their fans simply didn't care that the cheating was going on. They just cared about the win. That's agenda gymnastics. Forgiving anything else that you would see in someone else and what they do. But when it's your side doing it, you're perfectly okay with it. So here, Governor Pritzker is deflecting on Dana Bash's initial question, and I think does a very bad pivot by comparing Donald Trump and Joe Biden in age, saying that they're the same age. Now, if you look at President Donald Trump and President Joe Biden and compare them, would you think that they're the same age? I mean, Donald Trump, say what you want about him, he is full of energy. Joe Biden, there's a reason why they call him Sleepy Joe. So right here at the beginning, not a great job of deflection by Pritzker. And, well, let's see if he gets better.
And the truth is that what Joe Biden has proven is that age also brings experience. And one more thing that you should recognize, because you've seen Joe Biden over 50 years now in public life. Here's one thing everybody knows. This is a man who brings empathy to everything that he does. Well, I think when you put up a candidate directly with Joe Biden and compare the records, Joe Biden is doing much better than any Republican could. And like I said, he's gotten a lot done. You're saying that you guys keep repeating that Joe Biden is older than you think he should be. But remember, he brings a ton of experience. This is a guy who's spent years in the United States Senate. He's worked across the aisle. Look at how much he's gotten done because he's worked across the aisle. And why would you throw all that out?
So he's going to spin it two different ways. First, age and experience. okay, you can be old and not have experience at the job that you're doing. So they're trying to show that because Joe Biden has been in government for so long, that that's a plus. But that has nothing to do with his feeble body, his feeble mind, what we talked about in the last video, which, by the way, if you want to see what we were talking about in the last video about Joe Biden and his feeble mind and feeble body, you can check right above on the right there. There's going to be a little link there for it. And the second way he tries to deflect is to talk about different topics, to talk about the empathy of Joe Biden. Was Joe Biden really empathetic when he was using a canned speech in Maui?
Come on, man.
It's just not good. If you're paying attention to politics, folks, this is what you end up seeing. You end up seeing the contortions and the agenda gymnastics that people go through, sometimes very painfully, to try to save the goal in mind. And the goal in mind here is to get Joe Biden reelected, no matter what is wrong with him. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show.
Biden's age, once again, an issue. They brought that up in the debate as well. How do you get through that when Biden's out, when President Biden is out on the campaign trail in particular, which can be very taxing?
I love the way this question is framed. So Joe Biden's age is an issue, and what are you going to do about that when people will actually see him out in public? You got to love it.
Well, while they talk about age, we will talk about the things that Americans are talking about, and that's kitchen table issues.
Again, not a great pivot. We're going to ignore this whole thing about age. We're going to put that to the side. We're not going to talk about that at all. We're going to talk about all the things we accomplished, which, by the way, again, not so great. We're talking about inflation, gas prices going up, cost of living going up, the disaster in foreign policy in Afghanistan, and the pullout of resources there. There is so much bad to talk about with the Biden campaign and their accomplishments. That's really what you're going to do here? You're going to make it about issues? Because if you make it about issues, Joe Biden doesn't win.
Come on, man.
And we're going to continue to do all of the things that we said.
One way that you make it clear that age isn't a factor with you is you're pretty energetic. We see you travel the country. You show up you do interviews. It is clearly an issue for many voters when it comes to President Biden. He's a year younger than you. Do you have advice to him on how he should assuage those concerns in the public about his age?
Again, framing the question pretty well. What's going on with mainstream media? They're actually asking a really poignant question here. This second time in a row, second network in a row. Good job, guys.
Look, when people look at a candidate, whether it's Joe Biden or Trump or Bernie Sanders, anybody else, they have to evaluate a whole lot of factors. I met with the president, 5 or 6 weeks ago. We had a great discussion. He seemed fine to me.
Seems good to me. Okay, then. Do you think any of these surrogates really believe that Joe Biden is fit to be president? They tailor their comments in a specific way to deflect questions, to focus on what they want to talk about, but they never really answered the question. Is Joe Biden's age a concern for you? It's a concern for voters, so why weren't they answering the question? I think it's because they know for a fact that Joe Biden is not fit to be president and that his age is a factor. But it's more than just his age, because as was mentioned in the clips, Bernie Sanders is a year older than Joe Biden. He seems pretty spry. Donald Trump is the same age as Joe Biden, and he seems much more energetic. So there's something else going on here with Joe Biden other than his age. Because if age was the only factor, he'd be like Bernie Sanders. He'd be like Donald Trump. There's something else going on here. And it's the job of the agenda gymnast to put all that aside and focus on the goal. The goal here to get this man elected, the goal really here is to remain in power because the Democratic brand is what's important, not Joe Biden and what may be going on with him. You have to get to that chosen outcome regardless of your core beliefs, regardless of whether you personally think someone else would be better at the job, maybe even another Democrat to be better at your job than Joe Biden. You have to reach that goal, and you have to do whatever it takes to reach that goal, whether it be discounting the question, deflecting the question, or taking the question in a totally opposite path to talk about whatever your core issues are or whatever your attack line is against the opposition. Agenda gymnasts are the carnies of politics. They're the ones out there barking for the crowds to come see what's going on, to talk up their person, to talk up the virtues, to talk down the other side, and to sell the people on what the brand is putting out there. In this case, the brand is putting out an octogenarian who seems to be losing it by all accounts. And it doesn't bode well for the rest of the year. If we're asking these questions now in the silly season, in the summer before the year of the election, those questions are going to be going on throughout the election, well into 2024. And I wouldn't be surprised that if somehow Joe Biden's condition gets worse, that we might see them pull the plug on this campaign. So that's going to do it for this video. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, share the show with your friends. Please subscribe to the channel. We're just a little bit away from 1,200 subscribers, which is totally awesome. And if you're so inclined, check out the merch down below the video. And also, if you want to see the full line, shop.buffoonoftheweek.com. Thanks for tuning into the video. We want to keep having more conversations with you guys. So help us grow the channel so we can keep on doing that and talk about all the shenanigans and buffoonery that's going on this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.